Hi everyone, Andrea here with Crafts on the Move. I wanted to take time out to show you how to make the adorable card with the 3 pasta pieces on the front. If you're using the cutting guide and instructions that we provided, you'll see I already have everything already pre-cut for the video, and I'm using 2 inks to lightly ink blend on the pastas. I'm using antique linen for most of them, and then for a little darker shade I added the scattered straw. Add the ink blending as desired. As you can see, I'm using a sticky mat and a smaller blending brush. Once you are happy with your ink blending, we will work on the next phase. There are a couple ways you can add the black for the mouth. The first way I did it was to just take a black Sharpie and color in black on that pink die cut strip that's going to be the cheeks. And I only colored the black right in the center where the mouth is going to be, and then I left the rest pink. And that way you can use that piece for both the cheeks and for the mouth. Otherwise, you can cut another mouth out of black cardstock and inlay it after you get the cheeks glued on. Once you figure out how you're going to do the cheeks and the mouth, you're going to take whatever you use and glue it to the back side of the pasta to fill in those holes. On to adding the cute little die cut bow tie to the bow tie pasta. The next step is adding that detailed ring to the top of the rigatoni pasta. For the mouth on the ravioli, you're going to see I used the little die cut black piece and inlaid it into the mouth. So like I said, there's 2 different ways that you can add the black to the mouth on these pasta pieces. Next, you will need your Olo marker if you want to shade your chef's hat, and I just took that CG1 and added a little bit of shading to the front of the chef's hat, and then I will glue the chef's hat to the ravioli. Next, we're on to adding the legs behind the pasta, and I recommend adding the arms at this point if you want to as well. You're going to see I added it later. Just depends on if you want to wait to add your arms until you figure out how you're going to situate your pasta on your card. You might want to move the arms so they don't overlap. That's all a personal preference. Wonderful. At this point, hopefully all of your little die cut pasta pieces are assembled. And next I will be embossing the panels for the card. Select your sentiment and stamp that, and then next you'll be on to trimming the sentiment for your card front. During the video, I embossed both the A2 panels and then trimmed one of them down. Your instructions actually have you trimming down one of the white panels and then embossing. Either way, it doesn't matter, but the final white panel that's trimmed needs to be trimmed down to 3 3/4 by 4 1/2. Now it's time to start assembling the card, and what I went ahead and did in the video was I added the A2 embossed panel to the card base, and then I matted the smaller embossed panel to the red panel. Next, I added the prepared layered red and embossed panel to the center of the card base. And it's time to add your cute little pastas to your card. I did pop up all 3 of the pastas, and you're going to see in a couple seconds where I added the arms. As I mentioned earlier in the video, you can add the arms while you're adding the legs, or you can add them at this point. And the reason I add them at this point is so that I can make sure that the arms are not interfering with each other's arms and that you can see them on the card panel. Now that the 3D foam is behind the pasta and the arms are attached, I went ahead and added them to the card front. And then I also added the sentiment to the card front, and I used 3D foam tape strips behind the sentiment to give that dimension as well. How much fun are these cards? Hopefully your card is done, and I just think they're so cute. The whole collection is a lot of fun, and hopefully your recipients find them as adorable as I do. Thank you so much for crafting along, and hopefully you were able to get the time-sensitive download. Until next time, happy card making!